Welcome back to our channel, Exposing the Great Australian Government.
Okay people, you need to listen to the facts that we have brought forward with all our videos. These videos apply to every state, as all states have done exactly the same thing as we are showing in our videos. This video is a follow-on from our last controversial video, hijacking of the state governors. Unfortunately, this is a bit of a long one, as this video will show you, the people, exactly when and how these political parties created their own public seal of the state. We haven't had a Governor-General and Commander-in-Chief since 1960, as he wasn't appointed under Letters Patent 29th of October 1900, which is high treason. Then again, all states removed their governors from giving royal assent by changing their definition in 1985, therefore removed Letters Patent 29th of October 1900. High treason again. So all courts sit in treason. No crown and constitutional authority. They're all under the public seal of the state. All federal and state police are paid mercenaries. An arrest is kidnapping. No crown and constitutional authority to stop and detain, just paid thugs, because they are also under the public seal of the state. No Governor-General and Commander-in-Chief. Therefore, purported defence forces are nothing but political party thugs. And again, they're under the political party's public seal of the state. No Local Government Act from 1985 forward has received royal assent. Therefore, all councils are nothing but political party extortion rackets. And again, all councils are under the public seal of the state. All the legal fraternity, lawyers, liars, barristers, Queen's Counsel, King's Counsel, all acting judicially, are enforcing political party treason. Facts within the videos apply to all states and the ACT, as they are all governed by treasonous political parties. So the dollar is counterfeit. Fraudulent cancels contracts. If you have a house loan, farm loan, boat loan, or any loan in Australian dollars, the contract is void and you own the house or whatever. We have given you facts that prove political parties sit in treason and don't represent us, the people. Political parties are not within our primary law, Commonwealth of Australia Constitution Act 1901, as proclaimed and gazetted under the Royal Coat of Arms, which is the primary law of the Commonwealth of Australia. When we wake up, all this ends, and we will be 100% better off in every part of our lives under our primary law, Commonwealth of Australia Constitution Act 1901, as proclaimed and gazetted under the Royal Coat of Arms. You won't be paying for any of these corporate fees under their public seal of the state, which is a corporate seal that is trademarked and copyrighted to them, the political parties. Under our primary law, these so-called politicians are only supposed to attend Parliament part-time. It is not a full-time position, as they would have you believe. These deceitful parasites are bleeding our country and our lives. If they were not deceiving the people, they would have nothing to fear. The problem is, they all know, and we are the dumb pricks being led along via a leash. It is time for everyone to open their eyes. Now for a quote. Just because something isn't a lie does not mean that it isn't deceptive. A liar knows that he is a liar, but one who speaks mere portions of truth in order to deceive is a craftsman of destruction. By Chris Jammy. This will be a brief explanation of the separation of powers under our primary law. The first seal on the left is used by the state governors only, while acting within his first hat, in Parliament for sealing bills to become acts with Crown and constitutional authority, which keeps them separate from the government and the judiciary. The middle seal is used for the judiciary only, which keeps them separate from the government and the Parliament. This third seal on the right is used by the state governors when acting within his second hat as the governor in council by and with the advice of the executive government, not the state. So this clearly keeps all departments of our government, Parliament and judiciary separate. This is how it is under the primary law of the Commonwealth of Australia as proclaimed and gazetted from 1901. This picture shows you, the people, that now we are all being controlled by deceivers and tyrants. No separation of powers between any departments now. It is all controlled under their sovereign, independent and federal nation, under their public seal of the state. So all acts are copyrighted, right? Because they're under this fraudulent public seal of the state. Then you got all the political party appointed treasonous judiciary is under this seal. Political party government department, it's all under this seal. Everything now is under the one seal. This makes me absolutely sick to the stomach how deceiving and traitorous these scumbags really are. Alright, so it is the political parties that have total control. It's their system, it's their rules. This is treason. This Australian debt clock belongs to the political parties, along with the fraudulent debt that they have created outside of our primary law, as there was never a referendum to change the monetary system of our primary law. This makes them, the political parties, the owners. This is not the people's debt, but if we allow these political parties to continue to push through their sovereign, independent and federal nation, all in lower caps. Now once their sovereign, independent and federal nation is finalised, all four words in their sovereign, independent and federal nation will have capital letters for each word, e.g. sovereign with a capital S. Then once this is done, then all our future generations will be forced to pay this fraudulent debt forever. All the assets that the political parties sold without our consent will have to be returned to the people, and every one of these tyrants will be held accountable for their actions. We are all accountable for our own actions. Now let's have a bit of a scroll through this Australian debt clock. Fraudulent debt. Makes me sick. Alright, where are we? Total government debt. It's nice, isn't it? It's a nice, beautiful little number. Now, have a look at your total Australian credit. Millions. The total government debt. Like, would you allow any one of these maggots to control your own bank account? Government debt. Look at it. Look at the spike. That's disgusting. Just criminals. And all our future generations are going to have to pay for these fraudulent, treasonous, deceiving scum. Okay, let's get into the Statute Law 1997 Miscellaneous Provisions Act, Act number 81. Today we'll be doing an in-depth look at the seals. We will show you, the people, where and when these political parties first created their own public seal of the state with all of their own official government documentation as the evidence. This Act, Statute Law Miscellaneous Provisions Act 1997, Act number 81 of 1997, is where these traitors and criminals finalised their fraudulent copy of our public functionary seal, which equals treason. This first seal on the top of this Act is their fraudulent copy. These next two pictures that are on the screen now are of our original public functionary seals with their royal warrants. Both seals come under the royal warrants of the 29th of April 1893 and the 9th of March 1977, which tells us its uses. It is to be used by the state governor in council to be used for subordinate legislation. Subordinate legislation are departments of the government of Queensland, such as the Education Department, the Health Department, etc. This public functionary seal is not to be used by the state governor to enact a bill to become an act with Crown authority. Acts enacted by this way have no Crown and constitutional authority. Government of Queensland. Again, the of is belonging to. Therefore, we have a government belonging to the people of Queensland. Now, we won't read the entire document. Instead, we will just concentrate on some extremely important information in this Act regarding their fraudulent copy of our public functionary seal, like how and when these traitors and criminals that call themselves our politicians and supposedly working for us conspired behind the backs of every Australian to keep pushing through all their crimes of treason to force all Australians under their republic, their sovereign, independent and federal nation, which was created in 1985 under their Australia Acts Request Act 1985. There is plenty more to unpack from this Act, but it is regarding other crimes of treason that have been committed, which by the end, hopefully we will get around to covering as much detail as possible on some of the treason committed. You can download every document and read the entire thing if you wish to do so. All the links will be provided below. So the first thing that we should look at is what acts really are and what these criminals say their acts really are. In this particular Act, Queensland Acts Interpretation Act 1954, this Act tells us that all the acts and laws are only purported laws with purported enactments. Queensland Acts Interpretation Act 1954 inserted the 12th of December 1995. Part 3, General Provisions Applying to Acts. 9A, Declaration of Validity of Certain Laws. Each provision of an Act enacted or purporting to have been enacted before the commencement of the Australia Acts has and always has had the same effect as it would have had and is and always has been as valid as it would have been if the Australia Acts had been in operation at the time of its enactment or purported enactment. Now remember what purport means? It's a verb, appear to be or do, especially falsely. So they're telling us straight away. So because 9A, Declaration of Validity of Certain Laws, Acts Interpretation Act 1954, acts have been enacted falsely and only appear to be acts, then the Australia Acts have no effect and never had any effect on the validity of any provision of any act enacted or purporting to have been enacted before the commencement of the Australia Acts. Therefore, all government acts are under a fraudulent seal. Please, people, learn to read. 9A, Declaration of Validity of Certain Laws, tells you that after the Australia Acts 1986, all acts are purported acts with purported enactments. And we all know now what purport means. All government acts are a criminal extortion racket under a criminal seal and copyrighted. We the people are not between the criminal fraudulent seal and the copyright. Remember, people, the Australia Acts Request Act 1985 removed our state governor from being able to give royal assent. The treasonous political parties changed the definition of Queensland as in their Queensland sovereign, independent and federal nation. There is no crown and constitutional authority. That's how they took all your land and everything you own. Come on, people, please read our primary law, the Commonwealth of Australia Constitution Act 1901 as proclaimed and gazetted, under the Royal Coat of Arms. It's only 22 pages. If anyone would like me to attempt to read it on a video, yell out. Leave a comment. Now, in this section of the Acts Interpretation Act 1954, this is where these traitors and criminals are showing us how they created themselves to be the state, moving us all further away from our primary law and giving themselves the purported powers so they can push through their republic, the Australia Acts Request Act 1985. Now, once you open this document, Acts Interpretation Act 1954-06 Part 12, if you scroll down to page 68, page 70, right down to here, it's 68 on the top, but it's page 70 over on the left. So we're on the top of page 68, and a little bit down the page you've got Part 12. Right, this is what these traitors and criminals inserted into Part 12. So, the executive government of the state. So, purpose of part, which is purpose of this part and this part only. 47.1. This part declares certain matters. Number 2. A declaration about a matter is intended to remove any doubt about the matter. Really. Meaning of state in part, in this part. 47A, in this part, the state means the executive government of the state of Queensland. Can you see the treason these dirty, deceitful pricks are pushing? So powers of the state, which is their state. Oh, the state. So 47B1, the state has all the powers and the legal capacity of an individual. Let that sink in for a minute. They have the powers and the legal capacity of an individual. A whole state, really? They are just conning and deceiving us all. It is all here in black and white. And remember, this is their official Australian Parliament government documentation, not our Commonwealth of Australia official Parliament or government documentation. We only need to start reading and paying attention to what these traitors and criminals are doing behind all our backs. Okay, so this brings us now to another section of the Acts Interpretation Act 1954. This was all done in 1997. We know this because of the seal used on the top of this act, as the seal was first created in 1991, a blurry picture of a public functionary seal to this. And the political parties go back through our documents and change certain parts in different acts, and the Acts Interpretation Act is one of the most important acts within the political scene. This is where you obtain the interpretation of what particular acts are meaning and defining, which is where these treasonous sellouts show us more of their treason, so that they continue to push through their republic, all done while we are believing that they are doing the right and honourable thing, which could not be any further away from the truth. Just read the first few words of our preamble from our primary law that was granted to us, the people, at Federation, which gives us, the people, every right known to mankind. But these deceitful, treasonous, purported politicians have purposely committed treason on many occasions just to take your rights away from you. So this Acts Interpretation Act was reprinted and in force, or as in force, on the 7th of June 2002. And this is where they remove number 12. Now this is very interesting, because the last one we showed you is where they created number 12, and this one they will delete it. Now, if my memory serves me correct, we scroll right down to about page 67, 66, 67. Oh, right, so the bottom of page 67, the document page 67, it's got part 11, offences and criminal proceedings, right? So we go to page 68. Now we're looking for number 12, remember, part 12. Do you remember what part 12 was called? It was called part 12, the executive government of the state. So let's keep going. We'll scroll down a little bit further. Keep going. So what? We're up to page 69 now of the document. Page 70. Ooh, look at that. It's gone to part 13. I wonder where part 12 went. That's right. This is where these deceitful traitors and criminals removed it from here and put it into their constitution. Constitution of Queensland 2001. So now we head over to their Constitution of Queensland, Act number 80 of 2001. Constitution of Queensland 2001, Act number 80 of 2001. We will scroll straight down to Part 5, Powers of the State. But before we do, take notice of their fraudulent copy of the Public Functionary Seal. So I think it's about page 23, 24. 20, too far. Chapter 4, the courts. There we go. Part 5, Powers of the State. So, 51, Powers of the State. The executive government of the state of Queensland, the state. Remember, people, they created their seal, arms of the state, and badge of the state. This is not our Queensland. Remember, the badge of the state becomes treason. So it has all the powers and the legal capacity of an individual. This is a private act. And then the rest of this part 5 is all commercial. So think about it, people. It's a commercial seal and it's been copyrighted. This proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that these are all private acts. Commercial. Just sickening. Now we will show you the Acts Interpretation Act 1954, current as 15th of August 2014. Part 3, General Provisions Applying to Acts. 12, Private Acts Not to Affect the Rights of Others. It's interesting. 1. A private act does not A. affect pre-existing rights in a way prejudicial to the Crown or another person. So, are we correct in saying get stuffed? Who do you think you are? We are the boss. You, the government, work for us. You don't sit there to make rules and laws to govern us, the people. Where was the referendum to change the primary law of the Commonwealth of Australia? B. Impose liabilities on the Crown or another person in relation to previous acts or omissions, except so far as the Act otherwise expressly provides. Is this where they say I cannot hang them? They think a bit of writing stops people from doing such acts. No, it's our morals and knowing the consequences of our actions and being an honest and honourable man or woman. So 12A. Private acts amended by public acts do not become public acts. A private act does not become a public act merely because it has been amended by or under a public act. The treason and crimes have been exposed. Every Australian needs to see what these snakes have been doing while hiding in the grass. Now we head back to the Acts Interpretation Act of 1954. This is where more treason has been committed, being where the political parties changed the Parliament of Queensland to their Queensland Parliament. Right there for us all to see. But because we are not paying attention, just give them their bread and circuses, thinking that the politicians that are there were working for us. They have just continually pushed their republic onto everyone while we were all sleeping. So here we have some extracts from Queensland's Acts Interpretation Act 1954 as in force of the 17th September 1962. Reference to and citation of acts. 6. Reference to acts. 1. An act passed by the Parliament of Queensland may be referred to by the word act alone. So now if we go down to the 1st of July 1992, extracts from the Queensland's Acts Interpretation Act 1954, Part 2, Meaning of Act, References to Act. 6. In an act. Act means an act of Parliament and includes an enactment of any earlier legislature empowered to pass laws for Queensland. Then we go down a little bit further. Extracts from Queensland's Acts Interpretation Act 1954 as in force on the 9th of December 1992. So it's not even 6 months later. Right? Part 2, Meaning of Act. References to Act. 6. In an act. Act means an act of the Queensland Parliament and includes. Where did the Queensland Parliament come from? We're supposed to have Parliament of Queensland. Oh. So A British or New South Wales Act that is in force in Queensland. B. Enactment of an earlier authority empowered to pass laws in Queensland that has received assent. Legislator removed. They just do these slight little changes until they get what they want. Remember, this is not royal assent. That is assent via them under their sovereign, independent federal nation. So, the Queensland's Constitution Act Amendment Act 1934, 24 GOV number 35, assent 13th of April 1934, was an act to amend the Constitution of Queensland by providing that a legislative council or other similar legislative body shall not be restored, constituted, or established, and that the duration of the Legislative Assembly, as now by law provided, shall not be extended unless or until a referendum of the electors, which is us, the people of the state of Queensland, shall so approve in either case and for other purposes. Extract number 3. Parliament not to be altered. Really? So somebody's broke the law. In the direction of re-establishing the Legislative Council or other body except in accordance with this section. 1. The Parliament of Queensland, or as sometimes called, the Legislature of Queensland, constituted by His Majesty the King, and the Legislative Assembly of Queensland in Parliament assembled shall not be altered in the direction of providing for the restoration and or constitution and or establishment of another legislative body, whether called the Legislative Council or by any other name or designation in addition to the Legislative Assembly, except in the manner provided in this section. Now that we have shown you, the people, what their definition of an act is, nothing but imaginary acts, purported acts with purported enactments. So then we showed you, the people, where they created the executive government as the state, so that they have all the power and authority, even though it is only their imaginary power and authority, backed up by the tyrannical actions of their private mercenaries, police, that you pay for. So in reality, we the people are paying for our own enslavement. Then we showed you, the people, how they go back through our documents and our acts, where they add, delete, and modify these acts into pretend acts, so that they can continue to push through their republic, the Australia Acts Request Act, 1985. Then we showed you, the people, where they delete whole sections of a pretend act, so you, the people, don't get to see the treason and don't see the deceitful actions of these so-called honourable men and women that call themselves politicians pretending to work for the people. After the deletion of this part, we have shown you, the people, where the deleted section ended up. We have also shown how all acts are private acts. All these acts have nothing to do with us at all. They are private. And lastly, we have shown you, the people, where these criminals and traitors changed our Parliament of Queensland to their Queensland government. So, with all this evidence now out in the public's view, where to now? Well, unfortunately, our only option is to have a national strike, to remove this belligerent, untrustworthy, deceitful, pretend government. If anyone has a better idea, we are all listening. So now we'll get back to the Statute Law 1997 Miscellaneous Provisions Act number 81, where they create their public seal of the state, which says, assented to 5th of December 1997. As we have discussed and shown, the evidence to prove that these traitors and criminals had and have taken ownership of the state governor in 1965, which removed any links back to our monarch and the British Empire. So without anyone to represent our Queen, how can any act, bill or legislation receive royal assent? It cannot. Also, with their Republic Australia Acts Request Act 1985, which the political parties pretend we are under, there is no monarch to speak of. It is the state that makes all the decisions for you. There are many reasons why there is no royal assent anymore. These are just two of the facts. So can anyone recall the referendum to change the Commonwealth of Australia from a constitutional monarchy over to their sovereign, independent and federal nation? Let's continue. The Parliament of Queensland enacts. But don't they call themselves Queensland Parliament? It's funny that, isn't it? So now this is where the enacting manner and form comes into the acts. These filthy, treasonous, deceitful scum of the earth have this as their enacting manner and form. The Parliament of Queensland enacts, which is total treason, changing the enacting manner and form from, be it therefore enacted by the Queen's most excellent Majesty, by and with the advice and consent of the Legislative Assembly of Queensland in Parliament assembled, and by the authority of the same, as follows, which equals Crown and constitutional authority. Now this cannot be changed at all. This is part of our primary law. Who said that they could do this? Now take note. Most excellent Majesty. Royal assent has been removed. Quicken-Garron's annotations, page 301. 11. By the Queen's most excellent Majesty. The enacting words, showing the authority by which the Commonwealth is created, are in the form in which Acts of Parliament have been framed from a remote period of English history. According to the theory of the Constitution, the Queen is the source of law. The Queen makes new laws. The Queen alters or repeals old laws, subject only to the condition that this supreme power must be exercised in Parliament and not otherwise. Every Act of Parliament bears on its face the stamp and evidence of its royal authority. It springs from the words, Queen's Most Excellent Majesty. Quicken-Garron's annotations. Commonwealth, page 927. Quote, attention is particularly drawn to this definition of Commonwealth, which is clear and unchallengeable according to the express wording of the preamble and the first 6 clauses of the Imperial Act. This is part of the treasonous political parties cloning the people and our Commonwealth of Australia Constitution Act 1901 as proclaimed and gazetted to their treason. Therefore, the preamble and the first 6 clauses are not consolidated forward. So remember, we've spoken about this before. Consolidated forward in their sense means it's still there, but all these politicians, now called political parties, sitting under their own party constitutions, their so-called judiciary, lawyers, liars, barristers, QC and university professors of law don't take any notice of it. The people we relied on became the scum of the earth. The very first words of our primary law, whereas the people of. Now, because they don't consolidate the preamble forward, this actually removes all of us. Then we move to humbly relying on the blessing of Almighty God. And because they removed that, that removes Almighty God, Queen's Most Excellent Majesty. So, this in fact removed all the living people from their acts and therefore creating all as statutory entities. hence John Doe or Jane Doe in all caps. And we can't forget their Queen of Australia in all caps, only writing on paper. The Schedule Amendments of Acts. Art Unions Act 1992. This is where these traitors and criminals remove, omit certain parts of acts so that they, the political parties, can insert their acts of treason, namely their public seal of the state. You have to give credit where credit is due. These criminals and traitors have done a fairly decent job of deceiving the people, as they have tried to cover all the bases so that they can push their treason onto all Australians while selling off all our assets, including our country, and making themselves rich with fraudulent money. But thankfully, we have a handful of dedicated Australians trying to help educate the rest of Australia, including us, as we all never stop learning. Let's continue. This is where these traitors and criminals inserted their definition and description of the fraudulent copy of their public seal of the state, all in black and white. So, Badge, Arms, Floral and Other Emblems of Queensland Act 1959. Amendment, Section 1, and Floral Emblem. Omit, so they're removing that, removing and floral emblem, and they're going to insert floral and other emblems. Who gave them the permission to do this? Did you? I don't recall being asked. So this whole document is just absolute treason. So we scroll down and we've got arms and badge. 2D, 1. The arms of the state are as described in Schedule 1, which we will get to. Number 2. The badge of the state is as described in Schedule 2. Now this is where the political parties were running two sets of books, so that they could create their fraudulent copy of our public functionary seal, which they ended up calling Public Seal of the State. Now, halfway down this page is the description of their Public Seal of the State, Schedule 1, Arms of the State. It's got nothing to do with our primary law. This is all their definitions. Part 1. Heraldic Description. So what we'll do here is read out the royal warrants for the public functionary seal. The red writing will distinguish the parts that these criminals and traitors delete to push their treasonous actions. The black writing is what they have in their act, and the yellow highlights is what these maggots, traitors, criminals have added. So, the 1893 Royal Warrant. Victoria, by the grace of God of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland, Queen, Defender of the Faith, to our right trusty and right entirely beloved cousin, Henry Duke of Norfolk, Earl Marshal and our hereditary Marshal of England, Knight of our most noble order of the Garter, greeting, whereas for the greater honour and distinction of our colony of Queensland, we are desirous that armorial ensigns should be assigned for that colony. Know ye, therefore, that we of our princely grace and special favour have granted and assigned, and by these presents do grant and assign the following armorial ensigns for the said colony of Queensland. That is to say, so all that part there is deleted. So this is in their act. Now remember, go back up here, the red writing has been deleted. The black writing is the original writing and also the writing that they have used. And the yellow highlights is what they have added without consent, just a creation that they've pissed in the wind and created. So, for arms per fess the chief, or the base per pale sable and gules. In chief a bull's head kiboshed in profile muzzled, and, which has been deleted, a merino ram's head respecting each other proper. The dexter base charged with a garb, also or has been added by the political parties, and of the first has been deleted. And the sinister base on a mount a pile of quartz, issuant therefrom a gold pyramid in front of the mount a spade surmounted by a pick saltire wise all proper. And for the word "the" has been added by the political parties. Crest, on a wreath of the colours, a mount thereon a Maltese cross azure surmounted with a royal crown, which the political parties has inserted. And have a look what they removed. The 3 words, our imperial crown. Who gave them the right to remove anything or add anything? Nobody. Between 2 sugar canes, all proper. So all has been added by the political parties. Together with this motto, I'm going to fuck this one up again, aren't I? Adux at fidelis, as the same are in the drawing hereunto, annexed, more plainly depicted, to be borne and used by and for the said colony on seals, shields, banners, flags, or otherwise according to the laws of arms. Now remember, the red has been deleted. This goes on to finish off the royal warrant, but we have cut the bottom off just to show you what these traitors and criminals have changed. So now we'll move on to the royal warrant for the supporters. So 1977 royal warrant. Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, and of our other realms and territories, Queen, head of the Commonwealth, defender of the faith, to our right trusty and right entirely beloved cousin, Miles Francis, Duke of Norfolk, companion of our most honourable order of the Bath, commander of our most excellent order of the British Empire, upon whom has been conferred the decoration of the Military Cross, Earl Marshal and our Hereditary Marshal of England, greeting. Whereas Her Majesty Queen Victoria was graciously pleased by warrant under her Royal Sign Manual, bearing date the 29th day of April 1893, in the 56th year of her reign, to assign certain arms and crest to the then colony, now state of Queensland, and whereas for the greater honour and distinction of our said state, which is the said state under our primary law, which is under the Royal Coat of Arms, we are desirous that supporters shall be assigned thereto. So know ye, therefore, that we of our princely grace and special favour have granted and assigned, and by these presents do grant and assign the following supporters, that is to say, here's the original public functionary seal with some added extras that is under the royal warrant. You've got the brolga on the right, the red deer on the left, and she's put a few little frilly things around, right? Because if you go back up here and have a look, this is what it was in 1893, right? 1893. So then we moved down to 1977, where they add the red deer, the brolga, and a few little bits and pieces, all under the royal warrant. So on the right here, this is a copy of our public functionary seal, right? So can you tell what it is? I can't. I don't think a 2-year-old could tell what that is either. No royal warrant. First appeared on Acts Interpretation Amendment Act 1991, Act number 30 of 1991, copyrighted to the State of Queensland, 1991. You cannot copyright something that belongs to the people. It belongs to us. No corporation can copyright it. They can't. It is impossible. But these lying, deceitful traitors have done this behind our backs. So, and for the supporters, on the Dexter side, a red deer. And on the sinister side, a brolga with wings elevated and endorsed both proper. Below on a scroll, this motto, Adux at Fidelis, which this is what they've chosen to keep out of our public functionary seal definitions and description. As the same are in the painting hereunto annexed more plainly depicted to be born for our said state of Queensland, the whole according to the laws of arms. So, that's what we had, the original. Royal warrants, the whole works. Now this is where the political parties were running 2 sets of books so that they could create their fraudulent copy of our public functionary seal, which they ended up calling Public Seal of the State. Then the first copy that they created in 1991. Right? What is it? It's pretty hard to see what it's all made up of. Why would they do this? And then here's their finished copy of 1997, which we are proving right now with their official documentation. Okay, so now we're back onto the Statute, Law and Miscellaneous Provisions Act of number 81 of 1997, and schedule continued. And we're up to the part 2, the pictorial description, which we've shown what we had and what these pricks have now changed it to. Now, the fraud, the treason, you call it whatever you want, but this is just absolutely disgusting. These criminals and traitors are just trying to take control and ownership of everything, including you. This is the seal on your certificate of title, as you do not own your land. Schedule 2, Badge of the State. Part 1, Heraldic Description. On a Randall Argent, a Maltese cross azure mounted with a royal crown. A royal crown? Really? Can you show me the royal warrant for this? Okay, now we're looking at the badge of the state, which they created in this act. 1977, the royal warrant states, a mount thereon, a Maltese cross azure surmounted with our imperial crown. And this is what it's supposed to be. This is totally different to this, what they created. Have a look at the points. The points are all different, right? They're a sharper point. These are not so sharp. Then have a look at the crown. It's got the imperial crown. Remember, this is the royal warrant. It's got the imperial crown. And then we go over to their statute law of 1997, where they created this. And they decided to use their own wordings. So they've added words. This is what it should say: a mount thereon, a Maltese cross, azure surmounted with our imperial crown. And they've made it as on a roundel argent, a Maltese cross azure surmounted with a royal crown. Now, what's the difference? The difference is this is under our monarch, our constitutional monarch. This one here is under the political parties. This is their Queensland government, not our government of Queensland. There are two different badges that they show us constantly. It is everywhere. You can see it on the flags. You see it absolutely everywhere, and it's absolutely sickening. And I got no words. I'm lost for words. Alright, so now we move on to Section 41, Seal of Queensland, of the Evidence Act, 1977 Queensland. And it was renamed by the Constitution of Queensland 2001, Act number 80 of 2001. This is just a contents list of what is actually Dick has actually put into this document. So I've highlighted some particular parts that we need to take notice of. We'll get straight into it, and we'll go straight to the Evidence Act of 1977. Now, as you can see, this seal here is not our public functionary seal that has a royal warrant. This is their fraudulent copy of their public functionary seal to make you believe that we are still a constitutional monarchy, which we are not. So, Queensland Evidence Act 1977, reprinted as in force on 28th of September 2007. In force. Now, if you don't abide by it, we're going to hit you with the stick, because we make the rules. Right, so an act to consolidate, they love that word, amend and reform the law of evidence and for related purposes. So, Part 4, Judicial Notice of Seals, Signatures and Legislative Enactments. 41, Public Seal of the State. And all courts shall take judicial notice of the impression of the public seal of the state without evidence. Right, so we don't have to worry about facts anymore. Don't have to worry about evidence. Whatever they say goes. So, without evidence of such seal having been impressed or any other evidence relating thereto. That's interesting. So, end notes. So, public seal of the state, provide heading, sub, 2001, number 80, section 94, schedule 2. Section 41, amend, 2001, number 80, section 94, schedule 2. So, 6, the list of legislation. The Evidence Act 1977, number 47. Date of assent, 3rd of October 97. Now, this is the correct assent. So, date of assent, 3rd of October 1977.
This is the real and the correct assent. Right, now we'll go down to page 4 on this document, and this is why it is the correct assent. Right, it's under the Royal Coat of Arms, Anno Vicimo Sextu Elizabeth Secundae Regina, whatever, number 47 of 1977, an act to consolidate, amend and reform the law of evidence and for related purposes, assented to 3rd of October 1977. Now this is where it's the correct enacting manner and form. Be it enacted by the Queen's most excellent Majesty, by and with the advice and consent of the Legislative Assembly of Queensland in Parliament assembled, and by the authority of the same as follows. Now they changed all this, remember. Now this enacting manner and form for the state of Queensland was changed in 1985 under their sovereign, independent and federal nation for their All States Australia Acts Request Act 1985. Right, so then we've got Constitution of Queensland, number 80, sections 1 and 2, 94, schedule 2, date of assent 3rd of December 2001. Now this is not the correct assent. This is the Parliament's assent that they created. Alright, Constitution of Queensland. Still got their public seal of the state. An act to consolidate particular laws relating to the Constitution of the state of Queensland and for other purposes. Assented to 3rd of December. This is not royal assent. The Parliament of Queensland enacts. Well, it's the wrong enacting manner and form to start with. So, let's keep going. So, Schedule 2, Amendments, Section 94, the Evidence Act 1977. 1. Section 41, Heading. Now the heading did and should read Seal of Queensland, which should be right there. So they've omitted the Seal of Queensland and they've inserted Public Seal of the State. And then we go to Section 2. Section Evidence says, yes, Section 2, Section 41, Seal of Queensland, omit, insert Public Seal of the State. So they've there again removed our Seal of Queensland, which has a royal warrant, to their treasonous, tyrannical Public Seal of the State. Now, we just had a look at this one. This is the real enacting manner and form. There's what they've used. Parliament of Queensland enacts. They have taken total control. They are telling you they are in charge. They make the rules. So now we come back to the Statute Law Miscellaneous Provisions Act number 81 of 1997. And this is part 2, the pictorial description of their badge of the state. Right? This is in their paperwork, people. We're not making this up. All we are is showing you what they've done behind our backs. Alright. Now, back to the badge, arms, floral and other emblems, which, remember, they inserted this particular part here, other emblems, so they could push their public seal of the state and make everybody still believe that we are a constitutional monarchy. We aren't, unfortunately. They've taken that away from us and created their own system with their own counterfeit, fraudulent money. Which there's an act all that for that as well. We've done all that. Alright, now, an act relating to the badge, arms, floral, and other emblems, remember? They inserted this of the state. And to prohibit the unauthorised assumption or use of such badge or arms. So we're not allowed to copy it, but they are. So they're allowed to commit crimes, but we aren't. Okay. So a rule for me, but not for thee. Right. So Schedule 1, Arms of the State, Section 2D. Here's their heraldic description, which we've already done previously in this video. They've just picked and chosen parts that they want, and which they can then change and do whatever they want, and then they put their copyright onto it. And we're supposed to just go along for the ride. Well, I'm sorry. It's all fraud, the whole lot. So give us back our primary law where we are granted every right under God, every right known to man, or should I say mankind. Right, so this is the very last page, which on the page number it says 25, but in the actual PDF version it's actually page 27. And on the very last page of this act, which is page 27, it will show you that these acts are now copyrighted to the State of Queensland, 1997. Their Queensland, created by the Australia Acts Request Act, 1985. Alright, so now we get down to the real public functionary seal, right? So Her Majesty the Queen's College of Arms confirms the following. On the 14th of July 1876, the Governor of the Colony of Queensland was informed by the Earl of Carnarvon that the Lords of the Admiralty had approved the badge of the colony to be argent on a Maltese cross azure, a Queen's crown proper. Right, remember the dates. On the 29th of April 1893, Queen Victoria, I believe it was, arms and crest were granted by royal warrant to the then colony of Queensland. Then on 9th of March 1977, Queen Elizabeth II, supporters of a red deer and a brolga were granted and assigned by further royal warrants, or royal warrant. We've done both the royal warrants and again also in depth in this video. Now the crown in the badge on the crest has raised arches, and there has been no royal warrant subsequent to 1977. This is the correct public functionary seal that has a royal warrant. We are not under this seal. It is a public functionary seal. It is not to be used by the lawful governor on bills to become acts with Crown authority. The treasonous political parties, governor, parliament, judiciary, and their own private so-called police mercenaries are under this treasonous seal used fraudulently. We need to start paying attention, people. These seals are the most important thing that we can show you, and this is what they have done to usurp our primary law by changing little bits and pieces, but still using what we see to be the right thing. You've got to have some sort of evil, demonic, scumbag spirit to be able to do this to your own people and to your own country. All for the love of money. Sickening. So, down here we've got the royal warrants, all in English, straight English form, so easy to read. Alright, all the links will be supplied. Okay, we're getting close to the end now, people. Seals in Queensland. The left-hand side lane is the lawful Crown seals. So the Parliament of Queensland. This is what we're supposed to have. Right? But this is what these fraudulent corporate scumbags that call themselves politicians and honourable have created to deceive us, the people. Oh, so the Parliament, you can see in the seal, Parliament of Queensland. It's got the lion and the unicorn. Yes, it's got the royal seal, but remember, this is a royal coat of arms. Then on this side, we've got the Queensland Parliament. That's pretty, isn't it? With their Maltese cross, with their royal crown, under their definition of Queensland. Queensland Parliament. Royal crown with dipped arches. We have royal warrants for the royal crown, but we have no royal warrants for anything on the right hand side. Nothing. All the stuff on the left hand side, the seals and the badges, is all legit with a royal warrant. Everything on the right, fake shit. So, the badge of Queensland. Imperial crown with raised arches. Granted to Queensland on the 14th of July 1876. Now you've got the badge of the state. Royal crown with dipped arches. Remember, this is the one they created. Now we'll go down to the public functionary seals. This one's a good one. Now, here's our lawful public functionary seal of Queensland for use by public functionaries in the government of Queensland. Seal is granted under royal warrants of the 29th of April 1893 and the 9th of March 1977. Imperial crown with raised arches. And if you do have a look, you can see the shovel is on top of the pick. There's more ones to look for, but that's just one of the real obvious ones. But the most obvious one is this crown and the points on their Maltese cross. Totally different. Right. Actually, they look pretty much the same, don't they? Those, no, they're not. No, sorry. So, Queensland Government. Public seal of the state, which we've shown all the evidence to back everything up, used by corporate Queensland Government and its corporate Queensland Parliament. This seal used on laws since 1991 and was described in laws from the 5th of December 1997. And it's got the royal crown with the dipped arches. No crown and constitutional authority. Nothing but treason. Treason and tyranny. So, for more details on the Seal of Queensland and the Public Seal of the State, refer to the Statute Law Miscellaneous Provisions Act 1997, which is what we are looking at. Act number 81 of 1997.
and to Section 41 of the Evidence Act 1977 Queensland, Act number 47 of 1997, and its reprints after 6th of June 2002, which was also the commencement date of the Constitution of Queensland 2001, Act number 80 of 2001. Isn't that funny? So, extracts from Criminal Code Act 1899, 63 Vic number 9, as amended to 1934, 26 GO versus number 11, as before the Criminal Code Act 1899 was sealed with the criminal and fraudulent corporate public seal of the state, and as before it was copyrighted State of Queensland. That's nice of them, isn't it? They've really been looking after us. Daddy Govco. So, the Criminal Code Act of 1899, an act to establish a code of criminal law. The first schedule, Section 2, the Criminal Code of Queensland. Oh, I did get that chapter number, but I can't remember what it was. Sorry. Punishment of forgery and like offences. Punishment of forgery in general. 488. Any person who forges any document, writing or seal is guilty of an offence which, unless otherwise stated, is a crime, and he is liable, if no other punishment is provided, to imprisonment with hard labour for 3 years. Now we move on to punishment in special cases. Public seals, etc. 1. If the thing forged, A, purports to be or is intended by the offender to be understood to be or to be used as the Great Seal of the United Kingdom or of Queensland, or Her Majesty's Privy Seal, or any privy signet of Her Majesty, or Her Majesty's Royal Sign Manual, or the seal of the Governor, or any public seal lawfully appointed to be used for authenticating an act of state in any part of Her Majesty's dominions. B. Is a document having on it or affixed to it any such seal, signet, or sign manual, or anything which purports to be, or is intended by the offender to be understood to be, any such seal, signet, or sign manual, the offender is liable to imprisonment with hard labour for life. Why are these criminals still sitting, in our parliament? They are all treasonous filth. They are not there for the people. Come on, people, when are we going to wake up? Do you really want your kids living under tyranny?